Texas, there's one little blip of a cloud on the daily screen. Everything else is sun. At 4 p.m. this afternoon, like one little partly cloud. And a high today of 95, which it's a deceptive 95. I don't know why in the winter they tell us that it's 48 degrees, feels like 37. But in the summer, it's 95 degrees. They don't tell you it feels like 130, but it does. So I don't know what we do with that. Ash, I know you're there. And I just kind of want to hear you and see if we can talk.
Is that better?
Yeah, but I'm going to turn you down a little bit. Do you folks agree that's kind of loud? There you go. Junior says YouTube just came on.
There, I think I can hear you now, so I think we're good. I don't hear it. I was hearing an echo. I don't hear an echo.
No, and I do not hear an echo either. Now, by the way,
maybe we got this sorted out.
This is just for me, and like from me to you, like if nobody else was here, right?
Yeah.
As long as I don't hear an echo and you don't hear an echo, if the echo goes to the listeners, that's fine. As long as you and I can talk. Heather Stewart says you're at good volume.
Good. Thank you, Heather.
I'm assuming I'm at my normally gritchy fingernails on the chalkboard perfection.
Good.
So there you go. Rena Shear.
We're getting closer to getting this thing ready to go.
Rena Shear's the first one in. Are you still on the phone or are you on your laptop microphone? Because you're not on your new microphone. Show folks the new microphone.
I don't have the new microphone yet.
You threw it.
It was a little clip on it, but it's not working.
But now that we've got all these things sorted out, shouldn't that work?
I'm not going to chance it.
No, we'll do that tomorrow. Wait, say that in Canadian. When will we do
tomorrow?
Amen.
Tomorrow.
There's Rena Shear, first one in. Bobby Leister, Patrick Strauss. You know, I saw Patrick Strauss Saturday over at. You remember they used to have like that? Was it a bike race? What they call it? The Hotter Than Hell 100. That should be in Shiner on Saturday. It was so hot. But even if you don't want to go and drink beer, which is not a requisite or a requirement, the Shiner Brewery is a gorgeous place to go and relax. See, their gimmick is this. They can't sell you beer because they're a brewery. They can't give it to you really, I guess because that doesn't make good sense. But you buy a glass, like a plastic cup, for $10, and they give you 3 tokens that are each good for a beer. Or you can buy a glass, a magnum glass, a tall glass, a draft beer glass. What do you call it? I call it a magnum. I don't know what you call it, Ash. For you, it's probably a micro. It's like a shot glass. But they have different Shiner logos. You can buy those for $13 a piece. And you also get 3 tokens. So you can be utilitarian, buy the plastic glass and use it to get beer. Or you can be nostalgic and get the glass glasses.
Well, they're smart because I think they used to. If I'm trying to think, I seem to recall those tours being very, very cheap or not cost or.
Oh no! Now it's like going to it's like going to Splashway or somewhere. They're going to clip you.
It ain't like $30, isn't it, for the tour?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But you get 5. I think you get 5 wooden nickels or five free beers out of it.
Is that right, or 3? I don't know.
And you don't have to use them all at that time. You can.
No, you don't have to use.
They're smart.
Yeah, no, they're smart.
Come on back and drink some more beer on us.
Right, absolutely. Fun time though. Hot. Came back Saturday evening, went and watched the Generals play. They won again. So am I right that Michael Oros won a state championship in baseball this year and then won the championship with the Generals? Because he did win the championship with the Generals, I know. But Pete Strauss was there with his child bride, Lori, and some friends. And I told Patrick at the time, if the Astros go out and sweep the series with the Rangers, that I fully expected, still do to a degree, that the Astros might make some kind of a splash move to grab a frontline pitcher as we go into this stretch of baseball. And then you made a really good point to me yesterday, which was, whoa, they're playing great baseball. They're dominating opposition. Why disrupt the apple cart? Why? I mean, for example, I'm just making up a player.
Yeah.
Get rid of Trammell for a pitcher when Trammell's contributing. And it's hard for me to argue with that now.
Here's the other reason why I don't know that they can make a move. They don't have much left to give up. The farm system's been depleted.
So if somebody called Dana Brown, and he was actually Scotty from Star Trek, and they said, this is the captain, I need to trade a couple of players, what would Scotty say?
Giving her all I can, Captain.
I can't
give her no more.
There you go. Scotty as an American League general manager. Now you don't get that. You don't get that on Hannity. You're only getting that here.
And there's the problem with the Astros, I think, in trying to do something before today's trade deadline. Because Stevie Wonder enjoying that. Which is in the minor leagues, a guy that's never been to the show and some infielder. Well, it's outfielder, like but here's the thing. He's not even their best outfield prospect in the Dodgers system. He's like their fourth best outfielder. So he's not even a starting outfielder as far as the Dodgers prospects.
Like in AAA. He's a double-A guy.
They gave up a pitcher who got hurt in his major league debut in 2024. Didn't pitch last year because he was hurt.
But he was going to be great
this year, and he's struggling. And then the other guy, I don't think he's been in the minors since the Dodgers drafted him, and he's never won a game in the minors.
Think about that. And that's what the Dodgers gave up to get the premier left-handed pitcher in Major League Baseball.
And I get it. He might just be a rental because he's set to be a free agent after this year. But
I read somewhere, this is that source unidentified, but I did read scanning things that the Dodgers basically told him, if you'll come here, we're not renting you. We're the back-to-back world champs. Our plan is to sign you long-term. So if that's the case, good for him. We're right in the middle of the First State Bank of Louise Astros update, and I just put on the front screen this morning, Astros, because the Astros, the number has gotten so big, I can't tell you if it's 10 out of 12, 9 out of 11, 9 out of 10. I don't know. I remember telling you folks that when Jeremy Pena came back, that I would not be surprised. In fact, I think if you go back and look about 10 or 11 games ago, that I predicted the Astros would win 10 in a row. And they've only dropped one game since Jeremy Pena came back. The superlatives of this team, let me just give you the example of what happened this weekend. So this weekend against the Rangers, who were leading our division at the time they came in, the Astros scored 23 runs. Now, this is only over 3 games. 23 runs on 42 hits. So they're averaging
almost 8 runs a game.
Almost 8 runs a game and 14 hits a game for 69 total bases. The run differential, the Astros are plus 14. So they're averaging beating the other team like 7-2. That's crazy. 8-3. That's crazy. Average. And as a team in the 3-game series, they hit 378. That's ridiculous. Craziness. Jose Altuve over the weekend got his lifetime batting average back to 300. I don't think people realize, and I told Ash this, the expectations have been so high, the superlatives have been so great that we get lost on the observable relative greatness of Jose Altuve. I think Altuve now, in my lifetime, I mean, including Nolan Ryan and Biggio and Bagwell, the only person I can say who may be better than Altuve ever for the Astros would be Jeff Bagwell, who I think is the gold standard of Houston Astros, in part because of his longevity, his consistency, his leadership, and, of course, all that power at the plate. Altuve may or may not have more home runs than Craig Biggio, but the only thing he hasn't done is play as long as Biggio. He doesn't get to 3,000 hits and all that stuff.
Astros have won 11 of their last 12. They've won 6 in a row. They've swept their last 2 series against the Angels and the Rangers,
which they should have done. When this and by the way, I've heard other pundits over the last year and a half, 2 years point this out. Something Ash and I told you long ago, back when the World Series wins were coming. When this team is having fun, you can't beat them. The fun captain is Yordan Alvarez. Alvarez has been on fire. I know he's in the top 3 for sure in every offensive category. I'm not sure where he's at in terms of the Triple Crown at this moment. He's doing very well. I would have never thought that Jeremy Pena would hit for as much average as he does now. Jeremy Pena has become a model of consistency at the plate. Isaac Paredes is just phenomenal at third base. He's playing great. Quietly over the weekend, the Astros re-signed to a minor league deal Brendan Shoemake, who everybody liked. Shoemake was a guy, you may recall, he's a fighting Texas Aggie. Whoop! And he was hitting 256. He had 4 or 5, maybe 7 homers, and he had a bunch of doubles, 16 doubles, I think, in 78 at-bats. A solid player, and he's a guy that down the stretch could give Altuve some rest at second. We played
here's the danger of making a trade now, because the Rangers made a deal 10 days ago, roughly, with the Angels. They got a pitcher, bullpen help, and a backup catcher. Since that trade, they've gone out of first place. And I think, there's just, if you make a trade just for making the sake of a trade, I think it can upset your chemistry.
Well, see, I don't disagree with you at all. Now, there's going to come a time that I'm going to disagree with you, and people are going to think that signals the end of the show. You know how we've talked about that we joked the other day that we needed to find some controversy just so people would remain intensely interested in the program. I do think there's a time for a trade just for trade's sake, and I'll tell you why I think that. I'm wrong. We're not arguing about this. I agree with you. There's no reason to make a trade just for trade's sake, but there is something to be said for. I just saw Rena Shear's name, so you can go over there to Victoria Oliver Company to Shear Kubota. Every now and then, if you walk in and fire somebody, every now and then it kind of piques everybody else's interest in getting their job done. And in terms of just trading somebody, it shows a connection between the general manager's office, Jim Crane's office even, and the actual boots on the ground on the field. Hey, boys, we're here for you. We brought you another frontline pitcher. If you can find a good fit, Nathan Eovaldi, if the Rangers wanted to give you, somebody who could go, you've got to figure that Dana Brown, that wasn't even really a slip. Dana White is a MMA
UFC guy.
Same thing. So Dana Brown, you have to figure, discussed Scooble with somebody. He had to. You can't have a big time lefty like that. And guess what? And I'm just throwing this out there. if you do go get a guy
to give him away for virtually nothing is just,
dumb.
if the MLB conspiracy, if the MLB conspiracy theorists aren't out there now going, well, that Major League Baseball just wants the Yankees and Dodgers to win, they will be after that trade, because that was,
no doubt.
I can't believe that's the best that the Tigers could get.
But can you imagine, since Scooble's going into a free agent season at the end of this year, can you imagine the leverage that, to a degree, gives you with Hunter Brown? If you were to go get him and say, okay, we're going to negotiate with Scooble, and we'll negotiate with you too, Hunter, but we're only going to keep probably one of you. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that.
Well, and that gave the Dodgers a lot of leverage in making that trade. But I'm feeling that the Tigers took the first call and worked on that, and that was it. I don't think they entertained offers from anybody else, because
I don't think they're very smart.
I think a team like the White Sox, who are in contention and have been lousy and have a decent prospect pool, why would you not make a deal for a 27-year-old who's just down the road in Detroit?
Cy Young winner. You could lock him up long term. You've shown you've turned the corner this year, the White Sox anyway. And they're, you're in the third biggest market in the country. It'll come out. It'll come out. So let's go through the roll call real quick. There's Rena Shear, Bob Leister, Patrick Strauss, Greg Garcia, Ricky Champagne King, Marvin Mickish, Mark Zapata, Linda Chris, Mark Kurtz, Lisa Poole, Heather Stewart. There's our buddy Junior. Linda Chris already mentioned, but she deserves 2 mentions for putting up with Junior. There's David Glass, Torrin Bales. Hi, Torrin. Scott Snow. Junior's still there. Tammy Williams. She says, good morning, back at it, up early. Summer is officially over. We appreciate all of our school teachers as they're going back to school today for the most part. She says the good news is football season is right around the corner. There you go.
We're in the middle of football season. The CFL is going strong right now.
There you go. Patrick Strauss back to Shiner says you can get the Assistant Brewmasters Tour. You get 60 tokens and 10 tours for $150. So everybody put 100, 10, $15. You put $15 in, and you get 6 beers apiece. Nice deal.
It's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's worth it. They've got so many different.
And you don't have to take the 10 tours either. They'll give you all 60 tokens right then and there. You just come back and drink some beer.
Let's go. You could just burp. So much for your tour. I don't need your tour. Linda Chris says the tour is really interesting the first couple of times. And the thing is, if you go and drink the beer first and then go on the tour, it's like a new tour every time.
Every time.
Stephanie
Anderson checking in.
Brad Mitchell checking in. John Anderson. Monty Howard. What a great deal. Let's see.
Michelle Hawkins, good morning.
Yeah. Let's see. Greg Garcia's starting pitching is solid, and the bullpen is lights out. The hitting with runners in scoring position has finally gotten consistent. Yeah, the Astros, it was amazing yesterday. The starter for the Rangers was way up in pitch count early. And they pointed out that like he had thrown like 49 pitches, and for like 32 of them, the Astros had a runner in scoring position. I mean,
here's the problem with the Astros starting pitching. Starting pitching has been solid, but you're dealing with if you're gonna get to the World Series, you're likely facing the Dodgers, who now have 5 pitchers in the top 25 in all of Major League Baseball in ERA plus, and that's supposed to be a better gauge of starting pitching efficiency. I don't know. Who knows? Just what they call it nowadays.
How many innings they go and all that.
But 5 guys, 5 who are top 25 in ERA plus. That's their entire starting lineup, and that includes Shohei Ohtani, who may not pitch, which might be the reason they went after Screwball right now. Ohtani's
I bet he pitches
questionable
the
to pitch
playoffs
the rest of the season because of his knee.
Yeah, I'd put some duct tape on that and throw him out there in the playoffs. Gary Schmeckel says he went the day before we did. He says, I'm a fat man. It's too hot outside. It was the hottest place I've ever been on Saturday.
Mark Kurtz, it's coming. It's a work in progress right now.
Yeah,
So,
there was a huge. The buildings are tall, 4 or 5 stories, all the way around the brewery, and it was very hot. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna walk down the hall and get my glass of water. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hit
okay.
that. I'm gonna do that. Boom! There you go. Give us some ads.
I will. Folks, give USA Concrete Coating a call, or USA Foundation Repair if you're suspecting that your foundation might have an issue or two. Call 361-578-HOME. Charlie Garcia and the gang will come out, give you a free estimate, tell you what needs to be done, and then you just give them the okay, and they'll get it done. It's absolutely phenomenal work, and they're great folks to deal with. And you're supporting another small business in South Texas. Veracruz Restaurant, another family-owned business. Back open today. Simply the best Mexican food in not only Victoria, but in my travels north. I think the best Mexican food between here and there, to be honest. So get by Veracruz today, say hi to Lee and Ida for me, and enjoy what I think is the best Mexican food in the region. And don't even get me started on Mexican food in California. That stuff's terrible. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300 for all your go-to tow-to needs. Saw a lot of broke down vehicles on the road this weekend, and unfortunately, some of them didn't call Allen's, and they probably should have. But if you get on the side of the road, if you're stuck, if you're locked out of your vehicle, if you need a jump, Allen's can come and to the rescue. 578-6300. And if you're looking to jumpstart your health, way ahead. Now that I've seen some ads for Christmas stuff already, popping up on social media, it's never too late to start preparing for the holidays, and no better place to do that than Para Vida Wellness. Go in, see Erica Briggs. They can go, she can help you get healthy and set yourself up for all that holiday eating. In fact, if you work with Erica on eating better now, you won't want to feel like a gluttonous pig at the holidays, and she'll help you eat better. Her meals are perfect for teaching you portion control, and they're filled with protein and fiber and not a lot of fillers, or any fillers for that matter. And
No preservatives, no gluten.
That's what helps you feel full and satisfied, and you find yourself snacking. Awesome.
Yeah, if you go into the holidays with the right mentality, and boy, you talk about getting a head start. If you gave Erica 2 or 3 months to get you into your portion control, the next thing you know, you'll break even over the holidays, because you're going to eat that piece of pecan pie. You're going to eat a little scoop of dressing, but you're not.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's moderation.
Yeah, you're not going to eat like a conveyor belt of it.
No.
So shit. By the way, thank you, First State Bank of Louise, for making our show possible. Thank you. It's the friendliest bank anywhere. If you get in, they can help you with free checking, free savings. Like I said, the boys bank online only. They don't even have, it's not like it's in a drawer. They don't have a printed bank statement. They don't have a savings book. They don't have a checkbook. They have a debit card, and they do everything with their app. You get so many on the free checking. I think you get up to 6 transfers a month for free. So if you put, 80-20, you put 80% of your earnings at the high school level, you put it into your savings account, you can transfer money over instantaneously for that Friday night date without any fee or penalty. There's nothing to it. It truly is free. That's how they invest in you, so that someday when you want to build a home or you want to start a business, that you go back to the First State Bank of Louise, which they're big enough to get the job done and small enough to call you by name. I highly recommend opening an account at First State Bank of Louise.
So a couple of interesting things that happened over the weekend in the Middle East. First off, Hamas says that if Israel will stop their strikes and withdraws from Gaza, they will disarm. Which, can anybody really trust Hamas?
No, and all you're going to do is probably postpone violence. But I do find it to be an acceptable start, right? It wasn't like Israel said, you will do this. Hamas said, okay, no mas, por Omas. They don't want to be bombed anymore. And you and I talked about this over the weekend. Believe it or not, Ash and I are actually really friends, and we do talk. I find it interesting that you have the left, the Democrats, if you will, what's left of the Democrats, even the Democrat socialists. They talk about nonviolence. They pat themselves on the back because it was a mostly peaceful protest. It was a nonviolent protest.
Meanwhile, buildings are burning and looting's happening. People are getting beat up.
But I listened to a guy over the weekend, and his name's Jordan something, and I'm being honest. I'm not quoting him. I'm plagiarizing him, but I'm just giving you his thought. He basically said, promoting yourself as nonviolent is not virtuous unless there's actually restraint involved. If you are a weak leftist whose only means of protest is nonviolent because you're weak, all you can do is stand on the corner and wave a No Kings poster exposing your ignorance. You're not doing anything other than what you do. The person who is capable of wringing your neck and chooses not to is the person for whom nonviolence is a virtue. Without the capability of being violent, there's no glory in being nonviolent. And that's a roundabout. The reason that appeals to me is that I've told you for a long time that I do feel that to a degree, our country is on some type of a course toward something that looks like a civil war. I don't think that I mean wholesale bloodshed in the streets. We're not going to meet at Gettysburg and get on opposing sides of a field and line up and shoot at each other. I'm saying that if it comes down to it, what you will see, Ash, is violence from the right dished out to the weaklings on the left, and you will see disdain for the right. People will be like, I can't believe those MAGA people are beating up those poor, kind Democrats.
Well, remember Kyle Rittenhouse?
Yeah.
Everybody on the left seems to forget that there was a lot of violence that day when he was charged with shooting that guy in self-defense shooting that guy and found to be, he acted in self-defense and was found not guilty as a result. But the left completely ignores all of the violence that took place during that protest.
And the people he shot.
Who were being violent, but they completely focus on the fact, well, he came from Wisconsin with a gun and he shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. They forget about the violence because it doesn't suit their agenda, because they try to make it seem like they're the ones who want peace. They're the peacemakers. They're the ones who don't want violence. They're the ones who don't want bloodshed. But they're the ones doing the violence and the bloodshed. But they keep up throwing these smoke screens going, look over here, look over here.
Well, Greg Garcia says leftists are all about the optics of virtue signaling. When it really comes down to it, they don't practice what they preach. Yeah.
No, and all you have to do is look at some of the DEI initiatives that they've kind of backed off on, but then they quietly and subvertly still enact them through their hiring and their firing and everything else. It's crazy. They just don't make it as obvious as they were under the Biden administration.
Kevin Leininger says, can anyone trust Hamas? No. Can you trust Iran and its religious fanatic leaders? No. Can anyone trust the government of Israel? She says no. She goes, remember the USS Liberty. Do you remember the USS Liberty, Ash?
No, I don't think I do.
It's been now deemed, Kathleen, I'll go so far as to say it's now been proven to be kind of a conspiracy theory that there was a group of essentially Mossad, highly trained commandos that I think the rumor was that they actually boarded a U.S. ship and killed some U.S. sailors. I know enough that there were some folks who died. In theory, on paper, the boat was in a place where it wasn't. The ship was in a place where it was not supposed to be. It's just very, very, there's enough smoke around the situation that we don't know exactly what happened, but we do know that it involved the United States and Israel, and it's been deemed a miscommunication. Very difficult to mistake a United States destroyer for anything.
Somebody else's.
Wasn't a shrimp boat. Had an American flag flying on it.
I just looked it up.
Happened a long time.
Israeli, it was in '67. Israeli jet fighters and strafed the ship and launched torpedoes on it. 34 U.S. soldiers died. It was a technical research ship, according to what I found online.
You believe
and almost 171 people were injured.
That's right. It wasn't a military ship. I don't think. Are you buying? Come on.
Navy technical. Well, yeah.
Just a big CIA office.
I'm not buying the official story that Israel misidentified. It's pretty tough to do.
They knew what they shot at. That's the whole point. Is I think there was something going on in the area.
I'm going to take Kathleen's comment one step further. Because she says, can anyone trust Hamas? No. Can anyone trust Iran? No. Can anyone trust Israel? No. Can anyone really trust the U.S. government?
No.
I mean, I think Trump might be the most trustworthy of them all, but I don't know that the U.S. government can be trusted.
Good morning, Ryan Hopping. No, Donald Trump by far is the most transparent of any president in my lifetime. There's never been, can you imagine if George H.W. Bush would not have been fronted out by Colonel, what's the guy? Oliver North. Oliver North was a hero, right? But Oliver North ran contra, no pun intended, to the actions of George H.W. Bush. There's not a chance that the Bush family even now will acknowledge that their dad, the patriarch, Poppy, absolutely knew that he was trading basically drugs for guns to give to the Contras. And the reason that it was such a bad deal is everybody thought the Contras were the good guys, and they really weren't. And they played us. And then they slaughtered some of our people and yada, yada, yada. Donald Trump would say, we did a thing. It was a really bad thing. Stupid. Shouldn't have done it. And Bush wanted Oliver North to basically to just take the fall.
Because it's the one probably tarnish on Ronald Reagan's legacy.
Right.
Because it was happening then. But
George H.W. Bush orchestrated the whole thing as VP.
Yeah.
Clown show. Good morning, Marina. Now, Kathleen Leininger, who knows these things, she expounds and says, no, it was deliberate. Listen to the survivors who were silenced for decades, and our own president was complicit in the crime. So 1967, our president would have been Lyndon Johnson. Yeah, but that would not surprise me for a moment.
No.
I think you're right. I'm not saying that I doubted you were right. I'm saying I think you're correct that LBJ basically said, squash this. We don't need anybody to know about this. And the reason is the ship was not doing any type of marine research. It was absolutely a floating CIA office. And I'm sure the Jews had told them, get out of here. And they said, we're the United States. You don't tell us what to do. Fine, we'll just strafe your ship. That's probably what happened.
And to make it very simple for those that don't know what Iran-Contra was, we were selling arms to Iran, hoping it would soften their stance on us and the hostages and everything else they were doing over there. And then we were taking those funds and diverting them to the Contras, where, Nicaragua?
I think so. Yes, I think so. You ever watch the movie like Clear and Present Danger and you know Tom Clancy stuff, and when good old Harrison Ford finds out, oh man, I've been in the middle of a big, scam. That's who Oliver North was. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, there you go. Torn bales. And that we've been saying that here for years. I don't know if you're like regurgitating what the professor's been preaching, but he says that's the big difference between the left and the right. The right will call out their own if they're wrong. The left just falls in line. Yeah, I don't disagree. That's exactly right.
Well, or they defend, and case in point, or they ignore and avoid. Case in point, my repeated calls to get the chair of the Victoria Democrat Party on the show, and Jewel Buchanan, who has now told me she's too busy and her schedule's too full.
Too busy doing what?
Yeah.
She's been retired for 30. She's not busy doing anything.
No. But I find it interesting that when asked to come on to the show, and I told her three things I wanted to cover: the data centers.
They're complicitly with the communist agenda of the National Democrats.
Their candidates in the local elections, and why they keep defending the socialists that are taking communists. Let's call them for what they are. They're communists, and why they're taking over their party. And now she's too full, and she's backtracked on, because she initially said that when she called in, you were mean to her, and then when I said, I don't remember you ever calling in,
she didn't. She never called the show.
No, so
I wouldn't recognize her if I saw her. I don't know her.
And I've reached out to James Tellerico's camp and asked them to come on the show too, and no, nothing from him either.
No.
So
I know that
doing what they do.
She talked about us as somebody who had a following, as she was somebody who had a voice, and she stereotyped us in total ignorance, which I find often is the case. People will say, oh, yeah, that show, they don't give people a fair opportunity. And then you ask them, have you ever listened? No, I wouldn't listen to that show. I wouldn't listen to those people. Well, then you're one of those idiots that has your head in the sand like an ostrich.
And I'll give Peter McNally credit, because he's the only one. He listens, but he's not afraid to call us.
That's right.
Or comment. The rest of them don't.
And I'll go a step further. I haven't seen her this morning, and please don't cringe when I say the name, but I'll give Tammy Keeling credit. She's about as leftist as they come, but at least she comes in here and takes her fair share of abuse. She doesn't hide. She's not ashamed to put her name on the line that, yeah, I'm here. I don't agree with y'all, and I'm here. That's part of why I've been as tolerant with Tammy as I have been. We've never blocked anybody on our program. We've ignored people, and we've done it sometimes for a long time. But I mean, at the same time, at least she takes the heat. You've got a person here. I mean, Jewel Buchanan is an elected chairman of the Democrat Party of this county and runs from the media.
And we're on Magic 95.9, probably the largest.
Democrat-based,
the most popular Tejano station in the region.
Oh, in the region.
And certainly has the largest share of Hispanic Democrats listening. And she will not come on the show to talk about the local candidates, the Democrat platform, and why they embrace communism.
If you can't defend / explain your party and its platform, how are you I could call Bill Posey right now. He can tell you the top 5 things on the Republican agenda and why he supports them or what he feels doesn't play in the Victoria area. He knows it. It's his job. It's a job. It's not like you're the head liberal. You're the pom-pom lady that makes the posters for the No Kings protest. You are the head of the Democrat Party of this county, and you refuse to give an accounting to the largest radio program in the region. How do you explain that? If you don't like the Victoria Advocate, but you refuse, I didn't like the Victoria Advocate. They called me and said, hey, we want to talk to you. I said, okay. I think you have a responsibility to those people. I don't care if you like us or not. If you don't think we have some political clout, you ain't been watching the elections around here.
Well, and remember a few years ago when George, what was his last name? He was the new editor.
Stephanopoulos?
No, he actually came on our show a couple of times.
Well, then your friend, that Baskin lady, came on.
So,
yeah, purple-haired grandma. Remember her?
Yeah,
she came on. She liked you. She didn't like me.
I don't think she liked me. I don't think she. All we did was sit back and let her talk.
We did. We let her talk. She talked herself into circles. Yeah. So here's the deal. She came on the air, and one of her big deals was that reproductive health was a woman's right. And we started talking about that. Well, there's lots of things that the government tells a woman they can and can't do with their body. For example, prostitution, which to me, prostitution, maybe that ought to be a woman's right. That's your body, but hey, but don't get pregnant, right? I mean, let's put all of our prostitutes on the pill. Let's tie their tubes. Let them be committed to their profession. And yet you turn around and that's, well, they don't care that she's a hooker. Ooh. And I just told her, I said, well, aren't you glad? She goes, I've got to go play with my granddaughter. And I said, aren't you glad that your daughter didn't exercise her? Oh, that is so repulsive. And I was like, well, your daughter could have just as easily aborted your grandbaby. Aren't you glad she didn't? Yeah, Ricky King says you can get the former head of the Democrat Party on your program, but you can't get the new head of the Democratic Party. That's kind of funny. And you know what's funny is the former chair of the Democratic Party of this county agrees more with me and Ash, aligns more with me and Ash than he does with the current disarrayed state of the communist sympathizing party of Victoria County. You don't see Mike Gomez coming in here and arguing with us about that. You don't see, there's only about 6 more of them.
Now, Gomez will probably just message you and argue with you privately because he won't take a public stance on it either.
The arguments won't sustain. They won't be substantiated in a public forum. So Bruce Wood says Wade and Carter, it's a household name. Sometimes I'm sorry for that. We're not always, we try to be kind. Well, he's right. He says there is no Democratic Party left. It's the
we're Tide Pods to the left. That's what we are.
Right?
And
let's do this.
They can't ingest us because it'll kill their ideas.
Let's do this right quick. Let me start over here. Tell me if you've already done it.
Man, I got the right side except for Went.
Well, Went Services, Went Electrical for all your generator needs. Generac, American-made, Wisconsin. Generac Generators inviting you. Turnkey service. Give Aaron Went and his team a call. They'll come out to give you a free estimate. What it'll cost you to have a whole house generator. Went is the preferred Generac generator dealer in our area. Palace Bingo.
It will cost you less than it would for a very reliable used vehicle.
Absolutely. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. Get in. This week saw where the Kiwanis made a hefty donation to VISD. The Kiwanis collect funds from Palace Bingo. It's part of their charity network. So do that. Chesnick Furniture, Chesnick and Love, make your house a home. Get in and see why you just always do better at Chesnick. Bobby Leon and his family have been serving you and yours for well over 100 years. Get in and see them this week. And then White Wing Materials, great new sponsor. White Wing telling you that if you need sand, if you need fill dirt, if you need aggregate, if you need topsoil, there you go. If you can buy it by the truckload and it's good for your yard or your next landscaping project, call White Wing Materials. They will come.
Kind of like building a fence. Talk to your neighbor and get White Wing to bring a truckload of topsoil, and you and your neighbors can share it because it's a lot of dirt, and you'll all have better looking lawns for it.
Absolutely. So, although I kind of like that look, I'll come back. There I am back with you. Junior says Mike won't call. He just pontificates on his blog about how we wronged him on the air. I like Mike Gomez, and I have no problem. I think where you get in trouble, and Ash, if I'm wrong, correct me. It's an invitation. I think where you get in trouble, and it happens a lot on conservative radio. It's uncanny to me how a guy that I even respect, like David Webb. I like David Webb. I've never heard. You may have because you've listened to him longer than I have. I've never heard David Webb go, Trump really blew it here. Trump did something stupid here. Whereas I've heard me and Ash say that together, independently, in agreement and in disagreement. We have said, no, Trump shouldn't have done this. Trump did this wrong. You never, ever hear the left waver ever. I mean, I don't know. It's just if Democrats decided to beat Muslim women, the LGBTQ side of it would say they had it coming. I mean, it's uncanny how they all just fall in line together, no matter what. They are united in their overall disdain. Well, and Stephanie Connie says, including Peter McNally. You're right. Peter says he doesn't tell you that he wants Tallarico to win. He'll just tell you, I think Tallarico's got a real shot at winning. Hi, Norm Burgess. Hope you're doing well. The Muslim north end of Texas. I don't know. No, Patrick Strauss says the left turns to violence if you disagree with them, but it's always passive, right? They catch things on fire.
I don't know how passive it is when you shoot at the president and you kill Charlie Kirk. That's not passive anymore.
No, that's pretty true. But they never get blamed for that because remember they were the party of tolerance.
Yeah.
And
no,
everybody
they're good at gaslighting the public as to what they actually do and how they go about it. It's crazy. And the media is complicit with it because they completely avoided all of the transgender shooters that were shooting up schools last summer and places.
Yeah. It is funny how the news is always contingent upon who did the shooting. If it's a black guy, you don't hear about it. If it's a tranny, you don't hear about it. If it happens to be a white guy, In-N-Out Burger, Twin Falls, Idaho, just this weekend. Some loony 24-year-old white guy goes in and starts killing people. Ryan Hopping says the left didn't kill Charlie. He seems to think that Israel did it. That's going to be my guess, that Ryan Hopping thinks that the Mossad had him killed. So this guy goes into an In-N-Out Burger, starts shooting people until just the right redneck showed up. He had a pistol with a suppressor on it. He's wearing blue jean shorts and a straw hat and popped the dude. End of story. I have no problem with that. I'm certain no charges will be filed. Wonderful story. Now, in the interim, the guy killed 3 people, injured 7 or 8 more. Just a tragic idiot of a person. And I, hate to see it. Hate to see it. And
I think the gunman eventually killed himself, but the guy with the car, or the guy that stopped the shooting, basically distracted him.
Yeah, Bruce says
with a gun.
That guy had been waiting on that moment. That's dangerous too, right? It is a little dangerous. I'm armed most of the time. Certainly have weapons available all the time, and I personally am a weapon. But understand that you don't want to ever have to use it. I don't look for that moment when I'm like, can I jump in here and assist law enforcement? Can I shoot somebody? I don't want to be that guy.
Linda Chris brings up a good point. She believes the COVID vaccine has given many on the left mental illness. I think it especially affects the young. I think there's issues with the COVID vaccine. I'm not sure mental illness is one of them. But the doubling down in the wake of Anthony Fauci's testimony last week, and
that guy's just a criminal, period.
And the excuses made, the doubling down on everything that is now proven to be, they don't even admit. You can tell them, Anthony Fauci completely made up the 6 feet social distance rule.
Well, he admits that.
Yeah, but the left will tell you that was based on science.
You know what Tony Fauci's answer is? I am science.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The vaccines were promised, as I read in that tweet from Pfizer in January of 2021, to prevent COVID. They never had a chance. They never were designed to prevent COVID. At best, they were to lessen your symptoms. But I'm going to argue they didn't even lessen the spread of it.
They didn't. How do you know? If you still get COVID, how do you know if there's no line that says, oh, yeah, you've got a little fever. It'd be much worse if you hadn't had that vaccine. That's a lie. They made that up. And when you look at it, go ahead.
And even some of the other vaccines that we have. The flu vaccine doesn't really stop the flu. They try to guess the strain, but they miss every time.
Yeah, the people that support Anthony Fauci, again, it's the left falling in line. He must be believed. He is the science.
Or they go completely straw man arguments. Well, he saved a lot of lives with his work on AIDS. What does that have to do with COVID? Nothing. Completely irrelevant.
That's right.
And a complete different topic. Yeah, I can say, okay, great job, Anthony Fauci. You worked hard on AIDS in the 80s. That was great. It was awesome. You prevented a lot of deaths. I agree.
He's a very noted, epidemiologist. I mean, he's got it.
But you wanted one last. To me, he's that evil genius in a movie or a book who devises a weapon or something, and he's the only one who has the answer to solve that problem, right?
Well, and it's
he knew his labs were developing
gain of function,
and he was instrumental in making sure that mRNA vaccines were going to be used to solve the problem.
And he was on the front edge with Big Pharma, where he no doubt collected a lot of money.
His net worth is like $12 million. His family at one time was making close to $3 million between him, his wife, and his daughter, all working for NIH.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the things that are undeniable. He was the head of NIH. The U.S. had banned gain of function research. Anthony was funneling money from NIH to the Wuhan lab. It's all been confirmed. I'm not making that up. It's not supposition. And they were doing gain of function research in Wuhan. Now, with all that said, somewhere years ago, some other government bureaucrat was involved in smallpox research, other measles. We have an entire lab somewhere, a storage facility with all the bad diseases, Ebola, Chipotle lettuce. It's all in a bunker somewhere to be thrown upon the public. Here, smoke this. And it's like dried up Chipotle lettuce, and you get like, something terrible from it.
Atomic diarrhea.
I got a pretty decent buzz, but I've had diarrhea for 3 weeks. Wow. Yeah, I got high on Chipotle lettuce. Yeah. But what is the end game with Fauci? Do you really want Anthony Fauci to go to jail? Do you really want his entire family bankrupted? That's the problem. I don't know what you do with the guy, but I think he ought to apologize to all of us, because he has essentially admitted. And if you just go through, which we did in real time, Ash, during the debacle that was COVID. Oh, now Anthony Fauci says the N95 mask doesn't do anything. Oh, now Anthony Fauci says wear 2 of the masks, which he actually said kind of like tongue in cheek, wear 2, wear 3, because they're not doing anything. Yeah. And what did we say all along? If you're fat, older, sick, stay home, wash your hands more than usual, and don't breathe on grandma.
Well, here's the funny one I heard on the weekend driving up here and listening to callers on talk shows who defended Fauci. Well, why do surgeons wear masks? That's because they're in surgery for hours at a time, and if they sneeze
Right.
or cough, then they might actually infect or get something into an open wound. If I'm walking by you on the street, your mask isn't going to do anything if to me or for me.
Right. Well, and Ryan Hopping, you're right about this. I do agree with this. He says, and the Biden auto pen was always an issue for Trump until the pardon on Fauci now. See, if they can show that Biden was incompetent, which that ain't going to take much video review. If they can show Biden was incompetent, if he didn't knowingly pardon those people, or if Biden didn't direct the auto pen at all, which I don't believe he did. I don't think Joe Biden said, just sign all those pardons. I think that was all done behind Joe Biden's back or adjacent to Joe Biden, and he was not cognizant.
And now they're trying now the left is trying to make arguments. Well, he was smart. He listened to his lawyers. That's why he pled the fifth. I will contend if he was telling the truth all along, there's no reason for the fifth because the truth shall prevail and nobody would find fault with anything he said. But the fact that he's lied from day one and continues to lie throughout the entire term of until he decided to step down when Biden left.
And his diary exposes with the dates that are in there that he's telling the American people, you've got to distance yourself. We've got to shut down for 14 days. And then in the next sentence he goes, I was with Joan Baez last night at the Kennedy Centers. It was great. We had a couple of cocktails. I'm like, well, were you wearing your mask, Anthony? No.
Is this a product of movies where the bad guys always kept files that could tie everything together? Because I mean, if you think, Fauci had a diary. All these shooters and people have manifestos.
Release the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Like they're in a little room somewhere. They're in a room.
Epstein had a server. He had a data center full of all this stuff. So he knew who liked what, right? I mean, it seems that only evil people keep diaries and journals.
Yeah. Monica Jones with a solid question. She goes, how many dollars were wasted on the COVID free at home tests? They wanted do you have any problem with this statement? The government, maybe at the general level, the government didn't want anybody to die, but the government wanted everybody to have COVID. The higher the number, the less responsibility the government bore for any bad decision they made. We had to do something.
And I think secretly the folks at the Social Security office were happy to see a bunch of old people in nursing homes in New York and others die because it lessened the burden on Social Security.
You can bet your soul that somewhere in D.C. during that period, they said, somebody calculate how much money we save if 10% of people over the age of 80 die. You can bet that was done. You agree? Well, there you go. If you agree and I agree, then you can bet your socks we're right. Folks, it's the top of the hour. I'm going to send Ash packing just like this. Watch. Boom. He's gone. Hope you guys have a great day. We love you. We'll be here tomorrow and encourage you to check in. Goodbye, Magic 95.9. Love you.